What's up, guys? Have you ever thought about your top games of all time list? I'm sure we all have. And there's a lot of videos floating around the web, and they all have debatable entries. Nobody can agree on what the top 10 of all time are. So in a way, it may depend on the personal experience we had with the game rather than how great the game is or isn't. If I were to say make a top 10 list, I'd have to consider a lot of factors including gameplay, story, graphics or art style, and the list just goes on. However, sometimes our memories of the games may outweigh how good the games in question are. Which brings me to this particular list. These are the top 10 retro games from my childhood. They aren't my top 10 games of all time, but they do hold a special place in my heart because of the memories that surround them. Okay, so before I get started, I gotta go over some rules and points for this video. Number one, I'm gonna stick to the games that came out for the systems from the Nintendo 64, PlayStation era, and earlier. These are my childhood memories, and it's only fair that I choose titles from those moments in time. Number two, I'll choose one game from each mainline series. So for example, it's a spoiler alert, but if I say pick a Zelda game, if that showed up on this list, I'm not going to choose another Zelda title from that same series. So I'm not going to pick like, if Zelda 1 showed up, I'm not going to pick Zelda 2 as well. The Adventures of Link. I can, however, pick two titles that have the same characters from that series. If you're familiar with any of the Mario games, I'm sure you are, he showed up in a lot of series that aren't the mainline Marios, like Mario 1, 2, 3, World, etc. Thirdly, this is not a detailed game analysis. There's a lot of videos already out there for that. And although I'll briefly go over various aspects of these retro classics, I'm going to mainly stick to what makes these games special to me. So, without further ado, let's get started. Number 10, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Whoa. I remember being so excited to play this game. Ninja Turtles was extremely popular in the 80s, in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and I was all in for that. I loved it. I had the toys, I watched the show almost religiously. The big problem was this game was nothing like the show or the toys. It was littered with characters that I'd never seen before. I didn't see any Ninja Turtle medium. And not only that, it was really tough. It was extremely difficult. I must be glutton for punishment, however, because I couldn't drop this game. I couldn't get enough of it. And no matter how many times I failed, I just kept pushing on through. I love this game. One particular level that really stands out to me, and I've seen this pop up in several videos, it's the dam level. And that level, it's basically, you go underwater as the turtles, you're swimming around, you're defusing bombs that are underwater, and you have a time limit, of course, before they go off. And there's just like this seaweed or algae that's electric, and yeah, you lose your lives pretty quickly. I actually recall going to Caveman's house for his birthday party when I was a child, and everybody was sitting around watching a CRT, that's the tube style square box TVs, and everybody was sitting around the floor playing this game, and there were rumors that one of the guys there could actually beat this level. And of course, you know, I was like, no, this level's not beatable. And yeah, before my eyes it actually happened. This dude actually beat the level. There was something I wasn't aware of at the time, and that was the fact that you could actually switch turtles in the middle of the playthrough, so you didn't have to just keep one turtle the whole time. But yeah, magic happened that day. I got to see what was beyond the dam level, and let's just say it really doesn't get any easier. Number 9, Chippendale Rescue Rangers for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So, like Ninja Turtles, this was also based on the cartoon series of the same name. I watched it a lot too. It was one of my favorites. Maybe not as I didn't like it quite as much as Ninja Turtles, but I did like the cartoon a lot. The controls were much more fluid than the Ninja Turtle game. A lot less floaty, if that makes sense. Floaty. It was also much more cartoon accurate, and it was what I was used to watching, so it was closer to the cartoon. But the coolest aspect I really loved about this game is it had a 2-player co-op mode, so you could play with a friend, and you know, that was not completely unique for the time, but I really loved that of the game. I mean, you had Double Dragon and stuff, but you know, it was really cool in this game, I think, as well. Me and my cousin, we spent countless hours playing and trying to beat this game. I don't remember if we actually ever did beat it though, but sometimes that doesn't matter. Alright guys, number 8, Ducktales for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So this game, along with a few others from this list, would possibly still make my actual top 10 game list. This game is fantastic. The music is just on another level. It is great. The non-linear gameplay and the ability to choose levels in any order, it's very, very memorable to me. I guess my fondest memory is actually beating this game at Caveman's house. It was a very hard game. It was one of the first games that I had ever beaten for the NES. Especially, I didn't use any kind of cheats, no codes, no game genie, anything like that. I actually beat this game. I was extremely proud of my young self. Number 7, Wrestlemania 2000 for the Nintendo 64. It's kind of hard to know where to start with this one. This series of games, it started with WCW, NWO World Tour, and its sequel, Revenge. And I love both of those games dearly, but this one kind of took everything to the next level. Especially with its create a wrestler feature. It was not very common in those days. Now I know on WCW you could change the outfits, and on Revenge you could change on WCW and NWO World Tour you could change the colors of their outfits. Then on Revenge you could change their names and their costumes to different wrestlers, so you can kind of mix and match. But this one you could actually create your own superstar, and it was really, really good. It's funny too, because some of the graphics are even hilarious to go back and look at now, and some of the facial features and stuff, but man, it was so good. Creating movesets, creating entrances, various things, just so good. Yeah, I loved it as far as that. I would spend months creating these characters because, you know, at the time I had this crazy dream that I was going to be a professional wrestler. Obviously, it did not happen. But me and my friends, we had our own backyard wrestling federation, and we pretty much translated all those characters that we had then. We translated them into the game, and we kind of lived our wrestling dream through that game. We'd all get together and we'd play this game like so much. When we would get together and watch Raw or any of the pay-per-views, like in between the commercials or between matches we didn't really care for, we would actually play that game, have a quick match. So yeah. Number 6, Mortal Kombat 2 for the Sega Genesis. Okay, so first off, I love almost every entry in the Mortal Kombat series. Heck, even the first one blew me away when it first came out. But to me, this is the gold standard when it comes to Mortal Kombat. When I first started, I couldn't even pull off a fatality before the timer came out. My nerves always seemed to get the best of me right when that fatality music started hitting. Eventually I did master it though, and I rarely ever lost. I was very good at this game. I even remember going to Caveman's house. we had like little Mortal Kombat tournaments. We'd have some friends over and stuff, some people he knew. And man, I wiped the floor with everybody. I never, so like if you lost, you would lose the controller and you'd have to wait for your turn again to come around. I never lost that controller. That controller stayed in my hand. I actually remember Dalton had a cousin who claimed he was insanely good at Mortal Kombat 2. And he kept bragging about how he used to know how to throw the spear. Well, that's pretty common knowledge. But man, I had mastered like every single move in this game. I knew all the fatalities. I knew all the individual moves for every character. And yeah, unfortunately for him, yeah, he couldn't do anything. But it's not the case now. Actually, you know, I can pick it up and I'm okay now. But just like with anything, time kind of defeats you, and I'm not in practice like I was. But yeah. Which brings us to number 5, Resident Evil 1 for the PlayStation 1. So if you've been watching Caveman and myself, we've got a whole video, entire video dedicated to specifically this game. It's literally our first published video on YouTube. So if you haven't checked that out, what are you waiting for? It's pretty cool. Also, if you like what you are seeing, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, click that little notification bell so you know when a new video is posted. Anyways, so this one has an interesting past for me. It's a game that I seem to, at first at least, always experience secondhand. The first time I seen this game was actually at Caveman's house. He always had the good stuff. Any new video game that come out, that guy had it. Any new video game system, even if it was like an obscure one. I mean, I remember playing the what was it? The you know, you had the Sega CD, but then you had the XI. I think it was. I think that's the one he had. Yeah. But yeah, I seen it at his house. Then I spent the next few months watching my cousin play on a system that we rented the system from Blockbuster Video. So at that point in time, yeah, you could actually rent entire video game systems from Blockbuster. You just had to give them your credit card in case you messed something up, and then you were, of course, responsible to pay for the damages. So I was a backseat player. I would give him advice on where to go and how to solve various puzzles in the game. Eventually I played the game for myself though, and I have loved that game ever since. I still play through it every once in a while. Number 4, Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Okay, so my number 4 pick, it's the only RPG on this list because it's literally my first and only RPG I played growing up. I didn't play any of the Final Fantasies for Nintendo or anything like that. I rented this game from a local video store. It was up the road from Caveman's house, probably about a mile from his house. And I rented it mainly because I just love Mario. Like, I love Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3. And I seen the cover of this and I was like, oh man, awesome, a Mario game. And I was expecting, and I'm sure a lot of people who rented this game, you know, expected like a normal Mario experience. You know, a platformer. This was anything but. And you have to remember at the time, the only way to find out about a game was either by magazine or word of mouth, and no one I knew said anything about Super Mario RPG. And I'll say, initially I was really bad at this game. I wasn't used to any of the RPG elements. I wasn't used to leveling up. I was just running past stuff and thinking, oh my gosh, this game's easy. I don't have to fight anything. Well, the problem is by the time you get to a boss, you do. Because you'll die very quickly if you don't level your character up. I actually remember even selling like certain items that you needed for the game. I think I sold the flower jars on that game. And you don't necessarily need them. And I was like, man, they give you a lot of money for these. but they're very important for leveling up. So, but yeah, I fell in love with the story, the characters, the music. I'll still catch myself humming some of those songs even to this day. And just the overall feel of the game. It is a phenomenal game. So, number 3. It is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask for the Nintendo 64. If you've been watching any of my live streams, you probably already know that this is my favorite Zelda title. And don't get me wrong, I love Ocarina of Time, and I've put many hours into it. I may have not even ever played Majora's Mask if it had not been for Ocarina of Time. I've 100%ed both Ocarina and Majora's Mask. But this one, it's on another level, to me anyways. Me and my cousin, we picked up Majora's Mask. It was at a mall. It's about an hour away from me, where I live. And when I first played it, I was pretty confused about this. The 3-day time limit, starting out as Deku Link, and the Skull Kid. I thought he was an interesting bad guy. Thought it was very odd at the time. I was so used to Ganon. I love the Skull Kid now. I think it's such an interesting character. It was so different. Everything was so unexpected. This game still remains in my top 5 list of all time, even if the game mechanics, by today's standards, are a little different, unique. Yeah, but I still love it. So number 2, Mega Man 2 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So first off, this game was very hard for me when I was younger. I'm better now, but at that point in my life, it was the hardest game I'd ever played. For example, Quick Man's level. God, that level raised my stress like so much. Those lasers, they were deadly. One-hit kills, I mean, you were gone. But your timing to evade those lasers, they had to be near perfect. It seems kind of easy now because I have the pattern memorized. But the fear, God, it was so debilitating. And that fear, you don't really ever get back from when you were a child. But then, gosh, it just, it ended up getting the best of me. I love the ability to select the bosses and the stages in any order. Although I'd eventually come to realize that there kind of is an order that you should play them in, because you can use one robot, because you would obtain a robot's weapon once you defeated them, and you could use that weapon against another robot. It was his weakness. And I remember getting stuck. Okay, so this was on the first Dr. Wily stage. He had several stages in his castle. I remember getting stuck at this part where you had to go from one ladder on the right side of the screen to the very top on the left side of the screen, that ladder. And you had to use a special weapon to get there, but at the time I didn't know. I actually had to get hints. There was a guy on the bus that knew how to get past that, so I had to get hints to actually do that. But yeah, I love this game. I've got a lot of memories with it. I died a lot on it, and I didn't beat it until I was much older. Never beat it as a kid, but gosh, if I didn't try to beat it. Alright guys, so this is the #1 game of my childhood. I'm sure a lot of people had this game at the top of their list as far as childhood memories with games are concerned. But it is Super Mario Bros. 3 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I can't remember if I played Mario 3 first or I'd heard about it from the Wizard. I'm almost positive that I played the game first and then I watched the movie The Wizard. That movie's really cool. It's kind of cheesy in part, but if you haven't seen that, you should check that out too. I remember learning how to obtain the whistle from that movie, from the first castle on the first world. I remember doing that secret. Like I said, I learned that from that movie. And I also learned how to get this other warp whistle. I think it was from an insert of the game or I learned it from the manual itself, but I can't really recall it. I remember buying the game and seeing that in there. My dad actually took me to Rose's to buy that game. It was for my birthday, and man, I was excited. My mom, she actually worked with Caveman's mom. They worked at the same place, and they're the ones who got together to introduce us so we could get together and hang out when I was young. And I remember the first time I went to his house, I brought Mario Brothers 3 with me, and Caveman asked me, he said, is that Mario 3? And apparently I just stood there and I was speechless. I don't know why, maybe I was shy, I don't know. I guess I was a shy child. But yeah, this game, it is so good and it holds up today. Most of you guys, you've probably played it. This game's like very well known in the gaming community. Everybody's played it at this point. But yeah, even if you've played it, it's worth playing again and again and again and again. I've played it several times. I've beaten it several times. It's in the top 5 as well. A top gaming list, even though this is not a top overall game list video, it's in the top. It's great. I hope you like my top 10 retro gaming classics from my childhood. Do you have any games from your childhood that you have fond memories of? Make sure to let us know down there in the comments.